Right, in this video I'm just going to show how I do a sound install on a new Loco. So at the moment I'm just testing this BR44. I'm just doing the coasting effects and the heavy load pulling sound effects, which are extra features, and this is a Locksound V4. I've updated the firmware on this chip because a lot of my Locksound chips, version 4s are out of date, so I've been updating quite a few models. And then you have access to adjusting the volume slider and bass and treble and various other things on the fly live, and then you can write the sounds to the chip when you're happy with it, you know, whatever particular settings. But this gives you an idea. Do your heavy load. There's coasting. There we go, that's the coast and heavy load pulling sound effects, which is quite nice. But anyway, so what I'm going to do next is pick a sound file for this special edition Roco Loco and download the sound file. I'm going to install it on a plux 22 Esu V5 chip. I'm going to program it using the Esu Lok Programmer. That goes through the Esu decoder tester, and so you can plug your chip directly into there and be very careful when you're doing that to make sure the power's off when you connect a chip on the decoder tester. You've got to be extremely careful to make sure you don't touch anything you shouldn't do regarding with a screwdriver or your hands. Anything really when it's live on here, you don't want to mess too much, otherwise you got a risk of blowing the chip. And you got to make sure the power's disconnected from that when you touch the chip or put the chip in the socket, particularly whatever socket you're going to be using. In this case I'm going to be using the plux 22, which is on the end here. Plux 22. That's just another version of a decoder tester with other options on it, other chip options, so I'm not going to be using that one. Well, that's the first thing I'm going to do, is inspect the Loco, make sure everything's okay. Pull the body off. On this model you just pull the body out slightly from each side. Your thing is dead easy, no screwdrivers on this particular Roco Taurus model. I like this on all of them, and it just slides up. The body comes off. You just got to carefully put that somewhere, and you just got to make sure these corners don't come off, because these corner buffers slide off on each corner. So there we go. And then we've got the plug for the decoder. So that plug enables it to work in analog mode, but I don't need that. And then there's a analog light switch mode and a micro switch, flip switch there for analog operation. If you want to, you can adapt, change the lights using that. So pull out the chip for analog operation. We've got access to the board, 4 screws to unscrew, and then we've got the you can directly solder capacitors on this board of a suitable voltage, and then they would obviously go there. It's designed to take a bigger capacitor, 2 of them. You've got a lot of extra backup time if required. I'm not sure whether that option, that doing it on the PCB is okay or compatible with ESU, I'm not sure. That's that. So we're going to take off the screws next. Yeah, I've just got to untie the cable ties on either side so we can manoeuvre the board off slightly, move it out of the way a bit. Right, so I've carefully placed the chip on the plux 22 insert, and you just got to make sure you don't push it in too hard, because you don't want it going in too hard on that tester unit. Make sure the speaker is away from anything metallic, and whatever you do, don't have that powered up when you're doing it or messing with it, otherwise there's a risk of blowing a chip, and that can be expensive. So the chip's on there, so now I've loaded up Lok Programmer 5. I'm going to read the values of this chip. It's loading up all the database for it, loading up the interface. And there we go. This should be a blank chip, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to driver's cab, just test it. I think it's got a default, yeah, it's just got a default sound file on there. And it sounds terrible because there's no casing for the chip chamber. It's got a diesel sound file there for, I'm not sure what it is. I'm going to put the sound chamber on, see what it is. Right, so I've loaded up, kick-started the chip, and it's working alright. It's got a British sound file on there. I've just flicked it over to the onboard speaker on the actual decoder tester, because I don't want to mess around with that speaker too much. I know it works, but the sound chamber isn't built properly. So I'm using this particular speaker. I just change the ohm level of it to the appropriate speaker for whatever chip you're using. So it sounds good. Sounds quite nice, that. Yeah. It's a British sound file. I do like that sound. But anyway, the chip works. So I'm going to transfer a new sound file onto that chip now for the Roco Loco. Right, so I decided to go for the Tara sound file, which is S0073 article number. The OBB Tarist Railjet, the latest one from ESU. That's one that I've installed, and it's really good. It's got a lot of nice features on this. Wheel spin, air horn high and low, double air horn short, low. It's got all sorts, 24 functions. So that's one I've installed. Yeah, so on this Loco, it's I think it's set up in a factory to be totally mapped out to work with a Zemo chip, a Zemo sound chip, because nothing is as it seems when you put an ESU chip in there, because the tail lights don't work on it. At first I thought I put the chip in the wrong way around, or there was a fault on the PCB or something, but it's not. The red tail lights at each end are auxiliary, hang on, let's have a look. Auxiliary 1 and auxiliary 2 for the red cab lights, and they've got to be remapped, otherwise they won't work correctly. And then you've got the high beam for the cab lights, And then you got driver's cab light. If I think certain models had the cab light fitted from factory on the sound chips as well. So, and I've got this decoder interface map out of what each pin does on the plux 22, which I've never seen before. But this was really useful, because without this I would have been struggling to remap all the tail lights, etc. So yeah, that wasn't straightforward really, but that paperwork made it easier. So now I've got, this is not fully done yet, this is just temporarily done. Turn on the sound, turn on the lights. So I've got the red cab lights are working nice. Turn it around on that end. So when it starts off now, I've got high beam will kick in. So the high beam lights, I've got it so it's, when it stops the high beam goes off. There we go. So I've got to put the speaker in correctly and reseal it up, and I'll just show now where I put the speaker. Right, so I'm putting the cube speaker here in that exact spot, and then the body will go down fine and the sound will be coming from above. The factory chambers are below this PCB. There's two speakers, it can take two speakers, but when I put the ESU chip speaker in, it doesn't fit quite well. It sort of that sticks up a bit on the cube speaker. There's a bit of a rise on the top area on the profile. I don't want that interfering, because when you clamp the PC board down with the screws, it doesn't fit correctly. So you need a dedicated Zemo speaker or similar to go inside those recesses. And plus, once I stick that speaker in the sound chamber, I might not be able to get it out again. And I want this chip to be able to come out if necessary in the future easy enough. So mounting the speaker there, chip there, plux 22, and then you've got the capacitor bays here. And all you do is solder a capacitor on if it was a Zemo chip, but because it's a ESU, you need a dedicated backup battery chip that's connected to the backup battery for the ESU to talk correctly to the backup power, which I'm not going to use now. I'm just going to leave that blank, and I've never had any problems with these Locos running bad on any of the track I've got, so I'm not bothering with any battery backup. I'm just going to put that in, tie these wires back down here and here, and then that should be good job done then. Right, so there's the option. Just the base frame on the cube speaker, and the top cover is all I'm having on this. It's going to be a very narrow speaker, but it sounds really good anyway. So, and then that's going to go into position then on the top of the PCB, because the speaker will not go sandwiched between below in the two sound chambers, because I think it needs a dedicated Zemo speaker for that. And I think the contacts make contacts on the other side and the lower side of the PCB for the speaker. I think that's how they work, and you can have two speakers in line working, but in my case it's just one slim speaker. You just got to be careful gluing. When you're gluing, just use it, glue very carefully, make sure it don't get on the diaphragm on the speaker, which I'll just show. Just got to make sure you don't get on that shiny bit, you don't get any glue around there or anything at all. You've got to be so careful with these speakers, because they're quite easily damaged. And you've got to make sure they're insulated on the top where the prongs are, because if they make contact with any metal chassis or bodies or any metal parts on the inside of the body shell, then it'll fry the chip, and I've done that twice in the past on sound chips and virtually cried afterwards. There we go. Apply the glue and it's just carefully put the cap on. That's it with the cap on. You can see how slim that is. Very nice and slim, and that's going to go where that black tape is. Right, there we go. It's all complete now. That's ready to go in. All the wires are tidy. Everything's double checked and screwed down. One thing I've noticed on Roco on these particular models and other ones is there's a fourth screw, PCB screw, that's not even threaded, and it just drops in there, doesn't really do anything. Not sure why that is, but if I put that screw in there, it just pops in. It doesn't even thread in, so I'm going to leave that screw out, I think. Because if that falls out and goes on the speaker, you don't want that. I don't understand that, but anyway, there you go. All done. Put the body back. The body's back. Let's see this fires up okay. Yep. Drop the sound down a bit. Adjust the bass and treble settings on it. That sounds good. All good. I like that double horn. Just drop the sound down a bit. Lots of features on this. Right, so that's done. Got some weird sounds coming out of this. There's all sorts of weird noises. Got music. It's got a music feature. I don't know what that is on F5. On F5 there's an extra feature. So let's have another look at that. Put it on the chocks. Emergency brake. Anyway, it works. It works very nice. Sounds very nice. It's a beautiful model. I just don't understand why it was never made factory sound. I've never seen one of these in factory sound, you know, already installed. But anyway, it's got Lock Sound 5. It's easily adaptable in the future if I want to take that chip out, etc. And yeah, I'm really happy I've done the sound install on this model. It looks really well as well. It looks very nice. It's a stunning model. Anyway, that's it, all done, another one done, and the next video I will have that. I'll be taking that beautiful Taurus off the OBB, and I'll be putting the Roco one in place on the Railjet. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.